Welcome, and thank you for tuning into the Leadership Sovereignty Podcast. I'm your host, Ralph Owens, along with Terry Baylor. In today's episode, we'll cover topics such as our initial thoughts of the show, being transparent, becoming bitter or better, and choosing your perspective. Enjoy the show.
So, Ralph, we're back in the saddle today. We've had a few opportunities to go back and, as we discussed earlier, listen to some of the shows, got feedback. And man, I just, you know what? Let me start here, if it's okay.
Sure.
Just how it's impacted us, right? It's impacted me in a way that it really just causes me to be reflective, even more so. Um, Having the responsibility that our listeners put in us or on us, or that trust.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that it's, I guess it's kind of similar, to leading, your team or leading your family. In our churches, in our, groups that we're a part of. And, there's a sense of, there's a high sense of responsibility, serving in this role. How do you feel about that?
I feel the same way. Now that, people have given their feedback and they are being blessed by the content, I feel a sense of responsibility to deliver, even more and try to help as much as I possibly can. Right. I was telling my wife right before we got started today that the great thing about this is it's not hard for Terry and I, because it simply is a conversation that we just speaking from the heart on. Whereas we don't have to make up a script for the show and come up with, all these made up topics and things of that nature. We live this, so it's very easy to talk about. But as it pertains to the listener, I want to give even more. It's almost like it feels like people are pulling more out of us, right?
Right.
Which
Yeah.
we had
Yeah.
already had it stored up and ready to go, but now there's a demand on it, right? And just like we kind of talk about with spiritual things, you have to put a demand on your faith. We feel like there's a demand on the pull to produce more content to help people, right? And I'm really excited about that.
And so I'm glad you said that. Right. One of the things that I really try to do, as we're talking, and discussing certain things, is to really be, just transparent, right? Because in our transparency, I believe the listener will see themselves. There's going to be, a scenario that speaks directly to what someone is going through. Maybe you haven't gone through it yet, or you hear something or you experience something, and you may go back and say, you know what, I think that was 2 or 3 episodes ago. Let me go back and listen to that.
Right.
But I think it's that transparency. Again, right. Our goal is to take lessons that we've learned. Sometimes it's lessons that we've seen others go through. I mean, that's a whole nother aspect of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, the reality that we live in today is based on the accumulation of all of our experiences. And you could take those experiences and learn from them and become better. We used to talk about this all the time, or you can take those experiences and become bitter and get stuck.
Oh,
We
took me
decided to
back.
become better.
You took me back now.
Right,
You
right.
can either become bitter or better.
Mhm.
That is, so you know what? Let's kind of dig into that, right? So how do, what is the first step in dealing with could be anxiety, the frustration, I mean, sometimes it could be internalized anger, right?
Mhm.
What is the first step in really taking to avoid that bitter path,
Mhm.
in your
That's
opinion?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I love digging into this stuff, right? So understand the very first step you have to do is understand that your perception is your choice, right? We
Mm,
had to go through so many things to understand that I choose my perspective. I
mm,
don't let what did happens to me determine how I see the situation. I
mm,
choose how I see the situation,
mm,
right? So when you look at the situation, something bad happened to you, you can mirror the same behavior that you've seen other people mirror in that situation. Man, I ain't gonna let them do me like that. I ain't gonna let them talk to me like this. That kind of stuff. You can do that. That's a choice, right? That's a
right.
choice.
That's right. That's right.
Another choice is to say, you know what? What can I learn from this moment? Right? Let me get out of my emotions for a second and ask myself a couple questions. Number one, is there any truth to what they said? Right? Is there any truth behind it? Okay, no truth behind it. All right. Again, being spiritual people, we know that every situation is going to work out for our good. So God, help me understand the good in this.
Mm,
Sometimes that understanding is delayed, right? So I'm gonna dive into a quick story. Terry and I worked for a company, and together we sat in the same office, and we had a superior who decided to do us wrong. Now, anybody who works with us knows that we value integrity and we work very, very hard to serve with excellence in all that we do. And this
right.
person decided to discipline us for some things that we did not do in an effort to um, give some, I don't know, what would you call it, to give some benefit to someone else.
Yeah.
We'll just put it that way. And that was a very, very hard situation. I think we touched on it in a previous episode how we were so stunned. We rode a bus together, right? Because in Houston, it's so big, you have to park and then ride into the city. We rode a whole bus ride for about 30, 45 minutes where we didn't say anything to each other because we were so stunned. We couldn't
Yeah.
believe that it was happening to us because
Yes.
we knew we were the strongest people on the team,
Yep.
right? So,
And not only that,
mhm,
right? The
yeah,
folks on that team constantly found themselves in our office
all the time.
getting guidance. How do I deal
All,
with this?
all the time, all the time, all the
Wow.
time. And, we went through some things in that moment, you're right? It was a very public thing. So they made it known that, we were getting in trouble, quote unquote. Um, and it was very hard to deal with. So, and Terry, I'll leave it to you to speak for yourself. But for me, I never, I was never able to have 100% peace with that situation while I was still at that job. Matter of fact, I had to go find another job because I knew that person was after me and wanted to find a reason to fire me. Right. So I left, and so a mutual acquaintance called and said, "Hey, I know about this job over here. It turned out a great opportunity. Wound up switching professions, not professions, but industries, right? So before we were in power generation, and then decided to take this other opportunity as I'm getting away from this person to go into financial services, right? So get to financial services. Now, me and that person, that superior, haven't had one word since, right? Matter of fact, on my last day there, this person saw me and just walked right, looked me dead in my eyes and just walked right past me and never said a word. Right. So that's how we left the situation. But that whole time, God was dealing with me about how you're going to deal with this. How are you going to look at this situation? Are you going to look at it as a victim, or are you going to become better? Are you going to pull the strengths out of it and become better?
Right.
Right. So go move to another industry, doing our thing there, serving with excellence. Go through another rough patch with another person, right? Another superior um, that had their own issues, but continue to choose to have integrity, choose to serve with excellence. And it just to speed the story up, the opportunity came for me to move into the position that I'm at now at an executive level. Okay. I'm in an organization of other executives, and then I run into the boss who did that wrong thing to me 2 jobs ago. Right. And when we greet each other, that person says to me, "I'm sorry about the way things ended." And immediately the first things that came out of my mouth were, if that had not happened, I would have never moved to where I'm at, and this opportunity would have never came for me. And
Right.
it was because of the perspective that I chose to have in the situation. Instead of looking at myself as a victim that I need to fight back, I chose to take that and make myself better. And now it just so happens that, I'm I guess in the industry a peer with that individual. Whereas before I was, someone that reported a level down. So, so to answer your question, that's a long way of saying it.
No, it's great. It's great. I think people need to understand that man, people are going to be people no matter where you go. So that's the number one
Absolutely.
thing. And we can dig into that a little,
Mhm.
after you finish your story. But no, go ahead.
No, I mean that's pretty much it. You asked what's the first thing when
Yeah.
something bad happens. What's the first thing you need to do? The first thing you need to do is choose your perspective. Thank you for listening to the Leadership Sovereignty Podcast. We hope that you not only enjoyed the content, but gained something to help you on your personal leadership journey. Feel free to reach out to us on X and Instagram under the handles Leadership Sovereignty. Until next time, stay safe, peace, and blessings.